Hello, this is Art Gaines. This is the first installment of a new series or playlist I'm planning to make on the topic of Satanic Inversion, which is basically whenever someone tries to tell you that good is evil, or that something ugly is actually beautiful, or that something true is actually false, and the reverse of these things as well. Satanic inversion is what you call it when someone tries to convince you that reality is actually the exact polar opposite of what it actually is. Sometimes this is relatively easy to recognize, as long as you're not insane, such as when advertisements try to convince you that you can be morbidly obese and still be beautiful, or something like that. But other times it can be more difficult to identify the satanic inversion. It's more cleverly concealed, cloaked behind virtuous or uplifting-sounding gobbledygook. One of the most successful examples of satanic inversion in the modern Western world is how pervasive feminist ideas have become. It's so pervasive, in fact, that I'm sure it's even infected the minds of people who consider themselves to be anti-feminist. It's a remarkably insidious lie. What the feminists want you to believe is that throughout all of history, particularly recent history and particularly in the Western world, women have been an oppressed class, enslaved by men and forced to work in the home and bear children. Viewed as barely anything more than cattle, in fact. We're supposed to believe that Western men have been holding women back because they're afraid of the extra competition or something, preventing them from reaching their full potential, preventing them from achieving greatness. In response to this very imaginative narrative, the feminists want women to either reverse this dynamic by becoming the new bosses and lording it over men, or at the very least, by stepping up and taking their place next to the men as their proper equals. This message is usually accompanied by a whole lot of flattering rhetoric meant to appeal to women's vanity, telling women that they're actually better than men, more intelligent, more insightful, more empathetic, more creative, more in tune with nature, blah blah blah. They will even try to convince women that they are physically stronger than men, or at least men's physical equals. The feminists try to convince us that in the past, women were unhappy. But that's rectified now because women can compete with men for the same sort of jobs and don't have to rely on a man to provide for them. Now, all of this feminist stuff, the narrative, the agenda, the rhetoric, the attitude, the end goal, it's not just a lie. It's not just a bunch of gobbledygook. It is, in fact, the exact opposite of reality. It's a satanic inversion. The reality is that Western men, at least since the dawn of the Christian era, have been taught from birth to place higher value on women than on themselves. A Western man will get up before dawn in the dead of winter to put fresh wood on the fire to make sure his wife and children wake up to a warm house. Western men will die to protect a woman. A Western man puts his wife's interests and comforts before his own. In this, Western men are following the example of Jesus Christ, who died a very painful death to save the church, the bride of Christ. This is a very far cry from the idea that women in the Western world have been treated like chattel slaves. Western men have not been holding women down, they have in fact been lifting women up. That is the norm. That is the standard and ideal. Men and women are not equal. They have different natures. They have different aptitudes. They have different natural abilities. They are so different, in fact, that it is actually quite retarded to have to point out that men are actually much stronger than women. It is actually quite retarded to have to point out that men are generally better at long-term planning. It is actually quite retarded to have to point out that men are less likely to be ruled by their emotions. There are, of course, outliers. There are, of course, exceptions and distribution gradients. There are always going to be some women who are superior to some men at certain things. And there are certain things that women are generally better at. Women tend to have a kind of intuition that eludes most men. But the natural order is for a woman to find a man whom she is willing to accept as her leader and make him her captain. This is because of natural sentiments and natural hormonal drives. No woman can truly love a man to whom she does not look up to in some way, a man to whom she can turn to for guidance, a man who will prevent her from behaving foolishly if the need arises. The idea that it will make women happy, become men's equals or superiors, is just a lie. If you're a woman, it will not make you happy and fulfilled. It will, in fact, make you sad and empty. This is a satanic inversion of reality, the exact opposite of the truth. To put it in more emotive language, a man who sees his wife or girlfriend as an equal will never be able to treat her like a goddess, if you know what I mean. For a woman, fulfillment is found by attaching yourself to a man and helping him. This is literally straight out of the Bible, straight out of the book of Genesis. It says that the woman was created to be her husband's helpmeet. This is not a waste of a woman's potential. Thinking about it in those terms is just retarded. You have the potential to, paint yourself blue, strap on a beak, and become the world's greatest heron imitator, but that's not going to make you happy or fulfilled. Very unlikely anyway. And it's the same for almost everything else. Becoming a doctor, a lawyer, a manager, anything. The only reason you might think that these things would make you happy and fulfilled is because you've been brainwashed into thinking that it will. Now, I understand it is very annoying to have someone suggest that you've been brainwashed. I understand that. But the reality is that we've all been brainwashed to some extent or another. So if I was able to deprogram myself, hopefully you can too. In conclusion, Western men want nothing more than to be there for a woman. But they can't be there for you if you're there for yourself. The satanic inversion of feminism is the horrendous lie that if you're a woman, becoming equal to or interchangeable with men will make you happy and fulfilled. What this will actually do is leave you empty. At best, if you're the intelligent sort, you'll look back at the attempt as a colossal waste of time. There might be exceptions, but you aren't one of them. Thanks for watching. This is Art Gains. If you want to continue finding my content, please search for me at BitChute, Rumble, and Gab. Also the other locations listed in the description. My novel, The Screaming Void, is currently being uploaded episodically to archaven.com, and I hope you'll check it out. Thanks again.